Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name's Vin PF. On today's episode, I've got a bit of a different one today. Usually I do a review of these kind of bottles. I had 5 of these in the review queue and I wasn't sure if people would be interested in kind of 5 individual videos on each of these because realistically there's not much to tell about each bottle per se. So I figured I'd band them all together and of course only one of these is still available at time of recording as well. So even more reason to put them all together. But I'm going to go through each one in turn and hopefully you'll get a bit of an idea about what the guys over at Master of Malt are trying to do with this range, if you can call it a range, because it's like literally all over. So yeah, I think fair enough to get straight into it. Now, I will go straight into the first one. I'm doing these in a kind of relative order of boldness, let's say. Now, what I'll be doing is showing you the bottle, but I'll be pouring them ad hoc on screen, which is something I don't usually do. Usually I pour these out first, but I will say that the idea today isn't to provide major tasting notes, it's to give on-the-fly details, but I've had all of these bottles open for months now, and a lot of them, I mean, this one's fairly high up still, but a lot of them are nearly in the kill zone, so really it's a bit of a desperate effort to clear these out before I kill them, and then they're not going to be reviewed at all. Okay then. So the first one then, we've got here a Speyside distillery 6-year-old. Now, I'll read the stats off the front of this for you. Distilled in September 2015, disgorged in May 2022. It's a refill cask, as if we needed to be told that, but it's on there. Bottle 154 of 314. It's a hogshead and it's non-chill filtered, and these are all natural coloured, I think. There has been a couple of mistakes on these labels in the past, but I don't think any of these have that on there. Yeah, so, and this is a 40%er, okay. This was their 27th release, so you can see the order of this that will go in. Some of these are getting up there now. Now, I bought this on a bit of a whim. I bought 2 together, actually, and one of them, I think, will be next, actually. It'll be next. So I bought them on a whim. The first one I bought because I tried it before and it was stunning. This one I bought because it was cheap. They were selling this for £20, less than £20, £19.95 or something like that. And we'll get into whether that was a good deal or not as I try it, but the fact of the matter is you're getting a single cask whiskey. Fair enough, it's 40%. You're getting a single cask whiskey for less than 20 quid, which is insane, you know. But we'll see when we get into it, which is now. So, in terms of colour, I mean, it's basically clear. I mean, I don't know if you can see on here, it's got a little bit of a white winey vibe to it, but it's clear. You know, that when they say refill cask, this was a tired old, you know, mega reused cask for sure, because if you know anything about kind of filling whiskey, a lot of that colour comes out in the first in the first year pretty much, but the first couple of years definitely a lot of the colour comes through, as you can tell with, like, you know, bourbon, which we've got one coming up, so you can tell after like 3 years the kind of colour that comes through the cask. But that's not always a bad thing, because the good thing about a tired dead cask is that when you get the spirit like this, you're getting distillery character, you're not getting cask character. So yeah, let's get into it and see what we got. Now, it's an incredibly new makey nose. It's extremely floral. And obviously the tannins that would have come from the cask just aren't there. So yeah, let's get into the palate. Yeah, I mean, with this one here, you're getting what you pay for. You know, it's quite thin on the palate, very new makey. It's and by that I mean it's very floral. It's very malty, but it's got heaps of character. A shame that it's 40%, I will say, but obviously it would have been going up and up and up. For those that know me well, up here you can't actually see it on screen, but just off. Oh, can you? No, you can't. I've got a little new make library up there, and they're usually around 63.5% or slightly below. So I really love collecting that sort of thing. But the point is, I really love getting the distillery character. So for me, that was money well spent. And I know most people that bought it thought the same. Anyone who was looking for just a bargain for, you know, sippable whiskey, they're not going to get that with this, because this is one of those bottles you pull out and you go, check this one out. You know, not in a kind of like you're going to regret that you didn't get this kind of way, but just to try something different, because people don't normally sell whiskey like this. So yeah, I'm going to put that back there. That's the first one then. These are all going to go back here. Okay, a slightly different story for the second one. Here we have their release number 96. And as I pour it, I tried this at a club meet years ago. It must have been years ago. At least, yeah. And this is a Linkwood 11-year-old. Stats. Distilled in April 2008. Disgorged August 2019. A refill cask again, of course. Bottle number 2009 of 358. Hogshead, non-chill filtered. Yeah, I guess some of these might have been chill filtered. This is 46.7%. There you go, Linkwood. Again, so they were selling this for about £35. So, you know, I bought that and the other one there together for less than 50 quid delivered. And, yeah, there's a reason why I bought it as well. So, again, this is quite light in colour, a little bit darker than t'other that we just had. Actually, the nose, not much giving off on that. Let's go straight to the palate. Yeah, there it is. So, when I tried this, I immediately fell in love with it. It's got that Linkwood waxiness that we all know and love. It's basically, for me, it's like quintessential Scotch. You know, if I was to think about a flavour profile that I would apply to the word Scotch, I know that's a very silly thing to say because that's a very wide-ranging amount of flavours, but the core idea of the flavour profile that I get from Scotch versus other world-widey spirits is like this. So when I tried it for the first time, I was like, yeah, I mean, this is why I got into whiskey. You know, this flavour profile is how I got into whiskey. It's just good. You know, it's. I will say I remember the nose being better, but I think I might have left this one sitting around a bit too long. But now that I've done this video, that was the reason why I did this video, is that I can happily kill this bottle now, because it genuinely, it's time it's died. It did its job. But absolutely stunning. And anyone who got a bottle of this will tell you how good that is, because it was fantastic. I'm going to have a lot of this poured out in glasses by the end of this video. The whole point of this one is to kind of do it relatively unedited. Okay, now, this one. An interesting one. Again, I mean, you can see there's a bit of a vibe here with this. I'm going to pour this out again. So, this was the only one of these that I bought just because I saw other people buying it. This is the Blair Athol 16 years. I should have a little cleanse. I think I did between the last one. Not that it mattered, they were so different, right? So, this one here, it popped up on my feeds. You know, I mean, obviously, shout out to my Discord server, but I'm in a lot of like WhatsApp chats and whatnot. And when a proper bargain flies through the community, it flies through the community. And this one started making waves. This is release number 205. They were selling this for £32. A 16-year-old Blair Athol at 52.8% for £32. Now, I didn't even have to blink to buy that. And when I, shout out to Sam Simmons, but when I got in touch with Sam Simmons, or at the very least, I think I posted a picture of it on Instagram, and he contacted me to say, I'm really glad you got a bottle of that. Because in his words, I'm sort of paraphrasing a little, but in his words, he was like, we priced this as a thank you to all the people who have supported buying these bottles so far, these kind of Master of Malt livery bottles. Because he knew it would sell out so quickly, it would only go to the people that were kind of looking out for these bottles being brand new, because they were such a fan of these. You know, they weren't being looked at by scalpers, they weren't being looked at by people, by bots or anything like that. So they intentionally priced it low so that the people like me who saw the deal super early would go buy and then have a great dram as a bit of a thank you, which I thought was really superb. They didn't have to do that. I think they probably could have got away with selling this much more, double if not more, what the actual given price was. Stats wise then, obviously 16-year-old Blair Athol, August 2006, disgorged in July 2023, a refill cask again, hogshead again, bottle 143 of 316, non-chill filtered. Again, 52.8%, like I said. Okay, so again, fairly pale on the colour. Refill cask showing its vibes there, but you know me, not too worried about that. Now this one here, I'm getting a very different nose, very subtle still. Very lemongrassy I get off of this. ABV, a welcome change as it bumps up to that 52.8. Nice and thick and viscous. Really warming, really floral. I do miss the waxiness of the Linkwood, but obviously every distillery is different, right? You can't. Some distilleries you just can't compare against. But for me, I'm really glad that that's now covered again, because I've been trying really hard not to tap into that since I bought it last year sometime. And yeah, just an absolutely superb quality whiskey, and pretty much the main reason why you want to keep an eye on some of these bottles, because some of them don't sell, you know, like the next one, still in stock, but we'll get into that right now. Now, taking a slight departure from Scotch for a second, and a quick little cheeky cleanse. We've got a bourbon, which I'm going to pour into my British Bourbon Society glass. And this is release number 204, which is the one before this one, interestingly enough. Here we have an Indiana 3-year-old wheated bourbon whiskey. This one's still in stock, and it's in stock for 30 quid today, 29.95, something like that, which I think is a little bit less than what I paid for it. But I'm going to tell you now, an absolute bargain. If you've made it this far in this video, kudos to you. But if you're even remotely interested in bourbon, or you just want to take a punt on a good bourbon to try something different, hit this and get it today, because it's superb. You know, again, if you want to support the channel, links in the description below. But yeah, okay. Stats then, or more accurately, the reason why I bought it. If you're eagle-eyed, you've noticed that this featured on my on a recent blind challenge that I did. A shout out to my podcast and my monthly round table thing that I've been trying to push out. Now, obviously, I kind of messed around with people a little bit on that and added some non-Scotch, and there was a Canadian and this, and the classic Scotch drinkers in the group voted it fairly low, but everyone else voted this one of their favourites. If not the first, it was the second. So overall, this one won on the day, with a team of YouTubers and some people in the comments below as well. So that's all the evidence you need, really, I think, to prove that this is a good one. I don't know if I said 45%, it's 45%. Now, Indiana distilled, I would say, I did try to get this information out of Sam, but he wasn't allowed to tell me, and that is really important, because he tells me a lot of stuff. You know, if you ask him, he'll tell you if he can tell you. Here he couldn't say exactly, but we can take an educated guess that that's probably MGP, which is probably why it's still around. Because in the kind of whiskey world, MGP are this massive powerhouse, and they produce unbelievable quantities of different whiskies, different mash bills, ryes, all that kind of stuff. And anybody with enough money can go up there and they can spec whatever they want, and they can have a whiskey. They can buy it from the barrel already, or you can go up to them and say, I want you to distill this with this grain, this mash bill, and age it in this cask, and they'll do it. You know, so a lot of American brands are MGP distilled. And a lot of people, especially if they don't understand that situation, think, well, what's the point? You know, it's not their liquid, blah, 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 blah. For me, good liquid is good liquid. It doesn't matter who put the stamp on it. You know, I mean, yes, we would all like a little bit more transparency in that, but usually if you read, you can see Indiana distilled or something like that on it, you know, and you can have a pretty good guess that it was MGP. Now, the reason why I don't care about that is because, yes, all of those things I just said, but MGP, they know what they're doing. You know, they make unbelievably good whiskey. And if there's a crap MGP whiskey out there, it's probably because somebody else told them to make that. and to bottle it. If they're making their own liquid and then, chucking it into casks to sell later, it's probably going to be good. Genuinely. I'm just trying to wonder if did I do all the stats on this? I did do all the stats on this. Yes. So yeah, because it's a bourbon, it's New American oak. 3 years we're getting this lovely colour that we weren't seeing previously on the other drams. But let's get into it. Lovely. I mean, I love a bourbon. I do. Wheated bourbon means that it's, I don't know the exact mash bill, but it has to be at least 51% corn. But when you say a wheated bourbon, that means it's probably dead on that 51, and then a very, very high amount, probably close to 40, 45, 48% of wheat, and then the last little bit, that last like 3 to 5% will be malted barley. So, yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, it's quite light. Actually, I think very approachable for a Scotch drinker. It's got that new oak bite to it. That's like, very heavily tannic, very heavily oaky. The char kind of kicking in. Really good. I mean, it's not the best bourbon out there. It's not, a game changer by any stretch. But what it is an excellent quality whiskey for barely anything. It's 30 quid. Yes, there are other choices out there. You can get other deals, whatever. But I think if you're after something interesting, then this is a good shout. A beaut. That's going to be on Wee Wee very soon. I can tell you that for nothing. Okay, last one then. Here is the only one that's going to have to go back. This one won't be on Wee Woo. A friend of mine gave me this, a guy called Alex, who's at my local club, long-standing friend of the show. I did a lot of bottle reviews thanks to him, because he gave me a lot of heel kills a while ago. It's actually been a while since I've seen him, because our club hasn't really met. But this here is a Williamson 7-year-old, which, if you know your stuff, that's a Lafroig, but independently bottled. I'm trying to remember now why it's called Williamson. Bessie Williamson comes to mind, which is a prominent woman in whiskey, but I don't have all the information on that, to be honest. Distilled in October 2009, disgorged in August 2017, so that's sat around in bottles for years. Refill cask again, but look at that. For 7 years in a refill cask, that's probably first fill. Not first fill, sorry. First refill, so you'd have a new oak, then your first fill, and then probably this, I imagine. Hogshead again, bottle number 115 of 289, non-chill filtered and 47.8%. Release number 165. But I've done this last because obviously it's going to be a smoky one. But again, it's like, no, this one's a bit higher. This one's about 55 quid, if I remember rightly. So yeah, obviously the name is carrying it a little bit. It's a 7-year-old Lafroig, essentially, single cask Lafroig, which is a bang-on bargain. Yeah, I think so. Oi. Okay. No, okay, you know me, I love my peated stuff. Unfortunately, not available, but it's everything I love about Lafroig. It's ashy, it's dirty, it's earthy, but it's got that sweetness to it as well that always breaks through. Oi. Yeah, it's an absolute beauty. I mean, again, it's very classic. There's nothing here that's going to be too out there for anybody in particular. If you like your smoky whiskey, if you like your Lafroigs, you'd have liked this. Definitely worth checking out if you see any more of these coming up. But yeah, again, I'm not going into deep tasting notes on that. Now, that was a bit of a quick one, but really what I'm going to do is 20 minutes into this video is get into the crux of this video. Is that, like, I mean, I bought all of these bar this one, because this one was given to me by a friend, which is then going to go back to him now that I've finally covered it. But what Master of Malt are doing over there is nothing short of astounding, without a doubt. You know, they've got access to so many casks. Obviously, they've been doing their That Boutique Whiskey Company stuff for years, and they've been doing some really kind of like some weird stuff from all over the world. But this Master of Malt range seems to be a slightly different vibe. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what differentiates it from one to the other. But yeah, a kind of classic flavour profile seems to be the way of this. Interesting explorations, and more to the point, really low prices. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some really expensive bottles in this range, again, if you can call it a range, because it all depends. I mean, they've got some Macallans knocking around that obviously I'm never gonna drink, and they're gonna fetch a high price. But they're doing really, really, really great whiskey, and there's always some available. That Indiana, for instance, still available now. I haven't looked at their range recently to see what's coming out, but yeah, always new stuff. So really, my takeaway from this video is when you're on Master of Malt and you're clicking around, just click into the top and go to independent bottlers, because Master of Malt is there, and you can see all the stuff that they've got available right now. And yeah, obviously sign up to their emails and stuff, because I just absolutely love what they're doing. Just love it, because they're just that, you know, especially, you know, Sam is doing his amazing work with this, and he's just an absolute hero of whiskey. But yeah, enough enthusiastic about it. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. It's a bit longer. Let me know in the comments below if you made it all the way through to this, and if you found it useful and you want to see more stuff like this in the future, rather than kind of single bottle reviews, if I can condense it. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you again on more videos coming soon. Cheers.